This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connect to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
It's Monday, September 7, and this is the Barbados Today Afternoon Update. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The head of the Barbados Union of Teachers says the first day of the new school term went off without a hitch. However, Pedro Shepherd tells Barbados Today that his union is looking into a situation of one of its members who is questioning why she was not on the list of teachers appointed by the Ministry of Education after being in the system for 6 years.
I have not heard any teachers with any challenges so far. So for me, I'm saying that it is a smooth start at the beginning of the first term. We have seen some changes across the system where there were some transfers. Teachers who got those transfers, they have indicated that the transfers were being facilitated, were facilitating rather, the appointment of teachers, and subsequent to that we heard the minister making the announcement that there would be some 416 or 19 teachers appointed. At least we have a case of one teacher who was teaching for just about 6 years, a trained graduate who had not been reassigned, and that case we have went to the ministry and the hope is that they would indeed look into that particular matter as well. But generally, let me say that there has been a smooth start to the school year, and we look forward to such happening as the term unfolds.
Meanwhile, there's trouble brewing at the kitchen centers of the school meals department. Barbados Today understands that the matter stems from correspondence recently issued to workers indicating a proposed change of working hours from 10 to 2 to 9 to 5:15. But the workers say there has been no mutual consultation on the proposed change. When contacted, the union's representative, the National Union of Public Workers, told Barbados Today they are aware of the matter and are investigating the situation. The country's Senate is in session today, and senators on both sides are debating the CLICO International Limited Guarantee Bill 2015. Tabling the bill, Senator Maxim McLean made it clear that the proposed legislation will seek to protect the investments of policyholders.
I believe that it is reasonable to expect that in seeking to preserve the interests, there has to be a shared responsibility in that process. In other words, as government seeks to preserve, it cannot, in all reality, given all the complexities, guarantee persons that they will receive every single cent that probably was, and that is my take on this. I feel very strongly about that government is working hard to do so, but there has to be a balance on the demands of the resources, etc.
More Caribbean countries come to the aid of battered Dominica. Jamaica is the latest CARICOM country to pledge financial aid to the island, which was devastated by Tropical Storm Erika. Meantime, Barbados's rescue and recovery team from the HMBS Trident, which was in Dominica last week, said their mission was a success.
The extent of the mission in itself, especially Petite Saban, was the arduous part for us. And the reason being is that trying to rescue those persons and help to evacuate them on that part of the island where the seas was rolling and also having so much debris in the water made it a difficult task. The initial thing was to launch from there, then proceed to a safer area on the west coast. But when I looked at it and took into consideration that the time to get from that point and then back to ferry people would have been too long, and would have meant leaving some people stranded there overnight again. So we made the decision to do it all one time and to go in the area as close as possible. Now for my crew, yes, they're tired, but what we had to do is, and what we do is keep an intensity going. So most of the time, once we finish a mission or once we came back, I try to find ways to help the crew relax as best as possible and be prepared for the next task, because there's not much rest in between the tasks and there's not much rest in between the different missions that we were called to do.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
We pick up with news on the regional scene. The deputy political leader of the United National Congress is confident that Trinidad and Tobago will register a high voter turnout in today's general election. Dr. Rudal Muninal made the predictions as he spoke to the media this morning after casting his ballot.
I think people are much more aware today than before, and there's an overwhelming interest in the elections. I think the campaign as a whole was very, very energized. Enormous publicity for the campaign, and I was pleasantly surprised that even in my own constituency at 7 a.m. was extremely high. And that augurs well for an extremely high voter turnout today. We expect 17 to 18, possibly more than 18,000 people to vote in our Fugees today. In other areas, I've also received reports from other areas in San Fernando and East West Corridor, and I understand that is a pattern very early of high voter turnout. We have had no incidents in our Fugees of any irregularity or any problem. There are some areas where mock stations have gone up on the day, and of course there's always a perennial complaint of every side about the location of mock stations within the proximity to polling stations and so on, but that is quite normal.
Just over 1 million people, according to the Election and Boundaries Commission, are eligible to cast ballots at 2,199 polling stations across the Twin Island Republic. 112 candidates are vying for the 41 seats at stake in the parliament, and political observers say the fight is a straight one between the People's Partnership and the People's National Movement. Opinion polls are predicting a close encounter between the two sides. And on the international scene, Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel says the flow of migrants into the country will occupy and change it in the coming years. However, she gave the assurance that Germany will speed up asylum procedures and build extra housing, even as she called on other EU states to help.
And still they come, children wrapped in paper and plastic to protect them from the chill of a drizzly Munich morning, the first day of their new lives in the West. Finally, they have made it to the land they dreamt of. They're exhausted but relieved to be here. These men said they had fled from Syria and persecution by so-called Islamic State. The numbers involved here are quite staggering. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she's prepared to accept 800,000 migrants into Germany this year. And to pay for it, her government is setting aside €6 billion. Once they arrive, the migrants and refugees are whisked off to various reception centres in Germany, like this one in Dortmund, where there's shelter, medical care and plenty for them to eat. No surprise, these people are hungry after long, arduous journeys in which they've often had to walk for many miles and sleep rough for many days.
And on that note, we come to the end of our afternoon update. But for the very latest, all day, every day, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb. Subscribe to our e-paper, our email updates, and you can like us on Facebook. Also, catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 101 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good afternoon.